Godzilla Singular Point unleashed many surprises during its 13-episode first season, and one of those unexpected events was the inclusion of Mothra, the queen of the monsters who first appeared in the movie of the same name in 1961, and more recently appeared in 2019's Godzilla King of the Monsters. But how did she come to be in Singular Point? And is it possible we'll see her again if Singular Point were to continue? Let's dive in. But before we do, make sure to punch that like button and subscribe to Monstrosities Tokusatsu vlog for more Godzilla Singular Point news, history, and more. Outside of the MonsterVerse films, Mothra's Reiwa-era run is so far a pair of small but significant cameos in both the Godzilla anime trilogy and Godzilla Singular Point. Toho Studios continues to include her because, well, she's Mothra. As one of Toho's Big Five, her popularity has endured for almost as long as Godzilla's, and she similarly thrives in pop culture both in Japan and abroad. Prior to being cast in Godzilla Singular Point, Shoya Ishige, that is the voice actor of Yu Arakawa, recalled how he had not been exposed to Godzilla since childhood, and even then he wasn't super familiar with the King of the Monsters, but for some reason I knew only Mothra, and I remember singing the Mothra song all the time when I was a kid, he laughed. Ishige's co-star, Yume Miyamoto, that's the voice of Mei Kamino, also expressed fondness for the beastly butterfly in an interview with NewType magazine. The first Mothra was especially interesting. It was different from the other movies. I love it. Just like the rest of Singular Point's monsters, Singular Point Mothra was designed by Eiji Yamamori, the former Studio Ghibli animator who worked on Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke. Yamamori based all of his creature designs on real animals, from prehistoric to present day, in order to keep with Singular Point's realistic setting. Designing Mothra appears to have been no different. It was likely either Antheria yamamai, the Japanese oak silkworm moth, or Caligula japonica, the Japanese giant silkworm moth, that lent Singular Point Mothra its beautiful visage. The reason I listed both silkworm species is because the official Netflix English subtitles for Singular Point has Goro Otaki observed the Singular Point Mothra as giant silkworm moths, while the Godzilla Singular Point fanbook describes them as resembling the silkworm moth, the Japanese characters indicating Antheria yamamai. Either way, some kind of silkworm. I'll let the other nerds sort it out. Story-wise, Mothra may have been very briefly considered for a completely different role compared to that of her appearance in episode 12. Toenjo, that's the screenwriter for Godzilla Singular Point, revealed to NewType magazine that he had envisioned a lot of bird-like creatures flying around Godzilla, a detail done to show the immensity of the King of the Monsters, and apparently not so much a homage to Godzilla Earth and the Servum of the anime trilogy. Enjo went on to specifically mention Mothra, and how the colorful kaiju moth didn't quite fit his vision of creatures he wanted flapping around Godzilla, so that is why we ended up with the smaller Singular Point versions of Rodan. Now, please note, it is entirely feasible that Enjo was never seriously considering Mothra for this role, and instead was just illustrating to the interviewer how inappropriate a choice like Mothra would be in comparison to something like Rodan. So maybe we shouldn't take it at face value. I mean, this is the same writer after all who had stated in several interviews that he conceived a Godzilla anime series without Godzilla in it. He's gotta be kidding, right? I'm not so sure, especially when you consider Enjo told Uhcusen magazine that he would often have a tug of war with Singular Point's director Atsushi Takahashi when he would try to go too far with the script. So, a Godzilla anime series without Godzilla, a flock of Mothra fluttering around Godzilla Ultima, they very well could have been real ideas considered. Mothra technically first appears in Singular Point via the Easter egg-filled end credits, but plot-wise she appears in Season 1's penultimate episode, Explorer, in a small but powerful cameo that preludes the battle our heroes will soon wage in the final episode. Goro Otaki, the whimsical robotics genius, mutters this line. Thanks to KyoeiToshi over on Twitter, someone who you should definitely be following for GSP information, we now know that this quote is from the Azuma Kagami, or Mirror of the East. KyoeiToshi explained to me that it's a historical document, although with lots of misinformation, from about the 13th century. It gives the record of the Kamakura shogunate, Minamoto shoguns in the Hojo Regency, from the time of the Genpei War, late 12th century, to the middle of the 13th century. That line is also used in some kabuki plays, like many of Goro's quotes. This little detail gives Mothra's appearance significant historical and dramatic weight, and is certainly a highlight of episode 12, as well as the series as a whole. So if Godzilla Singular Point were to continue, could Mothra, or maybe even an evolution of Mothra one day appear? Officially, we don't know. But let's stop at the intersection of speculation and theory to take a look at the recently released Godzilla Singular Point fanbook and all 4 sentences that it has to say about Mothra. A large number of Mothra soar through the sky, dyed in red dust before the final battle with Godzilla. It resembles the silkworm moth, but its color is different, so it is thought to be a different species. It is not known whether it emerged from a singularity like the other monsters. Is it a coincidence that they appeared in front of Jet Jaguar and Yoon? It's that last line that I find particularly interesting. It's not a statement, but a question. And it's not the only time the book poses the reader with questions. Episode 13's end credit stinger involving Mechagodzilla raised a lot of questions as to what could be on the horizon for GSP. And the Godzilla Singular Point fan book does nothing to answer anything. In fact, part of the book where it actually talks about Mechagodzilla, it only asks more questions. What is the true identity of this robot? And the shadow lurking behind Steven and Kai, the man with the glasses who looks up at the robot and smiles. Is that Ashihara? And what is the future that awaits the world that has overcome the catastrophe? Posing these kinds of questions invites speculation and discussion, exactly the kind of thing a fan book should do for its audience who are eagerly awaiting answers from whatever form the show takes on next. Why ask the questions if there wasn't going to be a possibility of answering them? I don't think this is the last time we've seen Singular Point Mothra, or the world of Singular Point. But until the day that news actually drops, we here over at Monstrosities will continue to uncover and talk about all things Godzilla Singular Point. Thank you so much to Alex, aka Rainey, for helping with both the translations and pronunciations featured here, and to KyoeiToshi for the excellent info, and of course to all of you for watching this video. Please punch that like button, share this video, and for Godzilla's sake, keep watching Monstrosities for the good of mankind and yourself.